Welcome to another episode of Mike's Money Picks. We have reached that time of year again, y'all. It is officially midweek college football time. It kicks off this week with a Wednesday slate where we've got two Conference USA games going on. We got to come up with a good nickname for this because, once we get in November and it's the MAC teams, it's called MACtion, right? So is this Q's action, I guess? I don't know. We need to get a good nickname for this. So anyway, we've got two Conference USA games taking place this Wednesday. We're going to tell you what you can expect from each game as well as who needs to be in or out of your DFS lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel this Wednesday night slate. Now, I got to be totally honest, y'all. These midweek college football DFS slates are not for the faint of heart. Don't bet what you can't afford to lose. Don't bet what you're not emotionally comfortable with, because there's going to be some crazy things that happen on these midweek college football slates. And I know what you're probably thinking, well, duh, Mike, like these are all group of 5 teams, which tend to be the craziest games and the craziest teams anyway, right? But also, not only that, but we've got a lot of potential injuries, a lot of potential depth chart issues with not great reporting on these group of 5 teams, because not every team has a dedicated beat writer like a Power 4 team does. So there's a lot of conjecture, there's a lot of guessing, and guys that look like sure things might not end up being sure things by the time the ball is snapped. And it's definitely the type of slate where if you have the ability to late swap, or if you are by your phone near tip-off or kickoff, I guess. Yeah, it's not basketball season yet. If you're by your phone near kickoff, you can have an opportunity to swap onto some different guys if you do, in fact, get some news that, somebody's in or out, somebody's starting, somebody's bench, whatever. It's definitely the type of slate where things like that will happen. So make sure you do what you're comfortable with here on these slates. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in, because this slate is a perfect example of everything I just warned you about. All right, so in game number 1, we've got Missouri State taking on Middle Tennessee State. And this is an interesting game because you got Missouri State, who's recently elevated from the FCS to the FBS. They are not good. Middle Tennessee State, currently one of the worst teams in all of FBS football. This is a really bottom dweller matchup. And Missouri State is 2.5-point road favorites with a game total of 51.5 points, which is the higher on the night by 5 points, meaning the implied total is about Missouri State 27-24. For Missouri State, they do throw the ball around quite a bit. They rank 34th in the nation in pass rate. Middle Tennessee, they rank 11th in the nation in pass rate. So both of these teams are likely to air it out a bit. That does mean that it's likely to be more total plays in this game, likely to be more total yards in this game. The problem is that you're going to have to figure out who they're going to be passing to. And also, is that the way that these defenses are going to kind of allow things to happen? Both these defenses are very bad defending the run. Middle Tennessee 103rd in the nation in rush yards allowed, Missouri State 111th. When it comes to the pass defense, Middle Tennessee State is 64th, Missouri State is 108th. So slightly better pass defenses than rush defenses, but both these offenses are going to look to throw. At least that's what we think. For Missouri State, they do have an injury to their starting quarterback, Jacob Clark. He's been okay to start the season. Like, he's had his ups and downs. Obviously, they got shellacked by USC. He didn't do much in that game. Against Marshall, he put up 35 DraftKings points. Against Tennessee Martin, he put up 37 DraftKings points. And then he was knocked out of the Western Kentucky game early with an injury a week and a half ago. So when you look at Jacob Clark, when he's played teams that are like on his level, he's been pretty good. When he's played Power 4 teams like Missouri State and SMU, he's been terrible. So I would tend to think that if he is active for this game, he should be in pretty good shape, right? Now, the question is he active? The good news is that he will have had about a week and a half to recover from that concussion. So it's definitely more time, because they had the bye week and then the midweek game. So he's definitely had time to recover from it. If he does not, Deuce Bailey will be the starter. He came in relief in the Western Kentucky game. He is much more of a runner, had 8 carries for 61 yards in that game. I think that Deuce Bailey is very much in play if Clark is out. If I'm looking at this slate as a whole at the quarterback position, they're probably near the top of guys that I want to play, if I'm being totally honest. I think that they're in a good spot. They have the highest implied team total on the slate. It's an offense that likes to throw it around, and with Bailey, you get the rushing upside as well. I think both the Missouri State quarterbacks, whichever one ends up starting, is in a really good spot. What I would probably do is, there's not really a whole lot of information out there on Clark. Middle Tennessee State's coach thinks that Clark is going to be playing, for what it's worth. And so I think that you could build with Clark, and then if you get news that it is going to be Bailey, you could swap to him very easily since Clark is more expensive. Now, at the running back position, there are 2 names you need to know. First is Shamari Lawrence. If that name sounds familiar, he is a Tuesday and Wednesday night hero. He Florida International FIU last year and had quite a few games on these midweek slates. So he's a veteran to it. He knows what he's doing. He is a workhorse running back. He has been one of the best running backs on this slate all season. He leads all of the running backs on the slate in carries so far in the season. So a guy that's getting the rock early and often. You know that he's going to be out there a ton, and he does get some usage in the passing game as well. Then you also have his backup, who is Ramon Green Jr. There's another guy who sees steady usage in the passing game. He's only $3,000. He is, if you want to punt the running back position, he would be the one I would punt it with because he does have a role in this offense, and he is the stone minimum price tag. At the wide receiver position, this is where it gets confusing for Missouri State because, there's just not really a whole lot of consistency among the targets. So James Blackstrain is a Georgia Tech transfer. He came into the season, was supposed to be their top option at the wideout position. He has only recorded stats in 2 games. He did miss one with an injury, but he's only recorded stats in 2 games. There's been games where he's gotten blanked. I don't know what to make of that, but I do know that on paper, he is the most talented one in the group. On paper, he is the one that should be getting the targets. So maybe with a bye week and a half to recover from an injury, maybe he could end up being the guy. I don't know. But the guy who's been the best for them over the course of the season is Dash Luke. He leads the team with 33 targets through 5 games. He has been the best option for them. He's only $5,600 on DraftKings, and he does have a game of 29 DraftKings points so far this season. I think on paper, he is probably the best all-around option for this Missouri State team. Now, after those 2 guys, honestly, my interest kind of tapers off a bit. In terms of targets for Missouri State, their next leader is Ronell Johnson with 22 through 5 games. Jamarie Robinson has 19. And then Tristan Garner has 14. And Makai Cope has 8. Now, interesting thing with Makai Cope, though, is pretty much, it's he's been kind of phased out of the offense. I thought it was the other way around when I had this listed, but he is not involved recently in the offense. So I'm personally ranking it Luke and then Blackstrain, and then if you want to go to Ron or Johnson, I do think that those are 2 options. Now, if this is helpful, make sure you hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, and make sure you're subscribed. I can't promise that I'm going to do this for every single slate, but I'm going to get to as many as I can possibly get to. I'm in the middle of my busy season right now, coaching 2 sports at the high school that I teach at, and so I'm going to get to every slate that I possibly can, including these midweek slates. But if you're subscribed, you'll know when all those episodes drop, and all Saturday main slate episode is dropping hopefully Tuesday night, so check that out as well. All right, now team number 2 is Middle Tennessee State. I am very interested in Nick Vattiato at quarterback. This is a guy that we've seen year over year. He's an experienced starter. He provides next to nothing in terms of rushing upside, but he is a guy that could very easily throw for 300 yards. He hasn't done it yet this season. But again, when you're judging these teams, I really think you have to judge them based off of the level of competition that they're going to be playing. And in his last 3 games against, kind of even leveled opponents, 19.7, 26.4, 11.5 DraftKings points. I think it's very reasonable to build out a stack of this game with both these quarterbacks. Vattiato, probably the most likely quarterback slate to get 300 yards. I like him quite a bit. At the running back positions, in my opinion, the best running back on the slate is Kyle Middlebrook. He has been super consistent, super steady. He leads all running backs on the slate in terms of total touches. And how that works is because he is a significant part of the passing game for Middle Tennessee State. He has 29 targets through 5 games. That's almost 6 a game. That's like almost Alvin Kamara levels, right? So just super consistent role in the passing game that gives him a very high floor in terms of a DraftKings perspective. And I think you can play him with or without Vattiato, with or without a game stack. His role is so robust that you can play him in any kind of lineup. And I think he's just the best running back play on the slate. I will bring him up because he does have a role, but it's not very big. Ricky Hunt Jr. is an Ohio transfer from Middle Tennessee, and he's been okay, but he's at $4,300. Like the backup from Missouri State was only $3,000. I'd rather just play him for $1,500 discount, or I'd rather find the $2,000 to pay up for Middlebrook. The wide receiver position, this is where you're going to want to target this Middle Tennessee team also. With Vattiato being such a limited runner, this is a team where you can really target 2 or 3 wide receivers if you wanted to here on this slate, especially considering that they're near the top of the slate in pass rate. There's another team we're going to talk about later that's up there with them. But in terms of total targets, they have 3 of the highest individual total targets on this slate. Now, Zay Cox has 38 targets through 5 games. That's over 7 a game. Super consistent. Haven't really seen a big ceiling performance out of him because he hasn't had a multiple touchdown game since week 1. But opportunity is definitely there. $6,300. I think it's a great price tag for him. I'm certainly going to be paying up for that. Third on the team in target is Kyle Middlebrook. I'll go ahead and get that out of the way. But second on the team in target is Miles Butler. I'm definitely interested in him as well. Another guy that hasn't really had a ceiling game yet this season because he hasn't really scored. He's kind of a more lower ADOT kind of guy, but he's going to have consistent volume. He's going to have plenty of opportunity. After that, I do have a little bit of interest in their ancillary weapons as well. However, they're definitely way down the target list. Lacey, Tipton, and Walker all have between 16 and 17 targets on the season. Lacey would probably be the guy that I would have the most interest in because he's really coming on late. 8 catches for 76 yards in that Kennesaw State game a week and a half ago. He's probably the guy that I would have the most interest in out of that group. But like I said, this is definitely a team where you can get to multiple guys in the passing attack because of the fact that Vadiato is a statue, because of the fact that this game is very stackable, because of the fact that this team is going to throw the ball all over the yard. All right, with that being said, let's take a quick breather, and then we'll go ahead and continue on with game 2. And before we continue, I do want to mention there are places where you can get more information from me. First off, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike's Money Picks. I'm more than happy to help you out if you reach out with any questions. I'll also tweet out all updates for the show to keep everybody informed of what's going on as well. You can also join the Fantasy Corner Discord. The link is in the description. It is 100% free. It is just a great community to be a part of if you're looking for people to talk DFS with. You know, before the games start, everybody's in there bouncing ideas off each other, talking strategies, talking plays. And if there's any injury news, we kind of crowdsource it and somebody has found some sort of news that can help you out. It's just a great place to go if you're looking for people to talk DFS with or just watch the games and sweat it out together. And then if you want to know who actually makes my college football DFS lineups, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Mike's Money Picks. For every single college football DFS slate, I have an article with my core plays as well as why they're my core plays. So you not only get the plays, but you get the information as to why as well. It can definitely help you with your process, help you get better at college football DFS. I'm not going to be like with some of those other people, though, and just guarantee that you're just going to print money by putting those guys in your lineups. What I can guarantee is that you're going to get well-researched, well-thought-out takes from somebody that knows what they're talking about with college football. All right, next up, let's talk about game number 2. Liberty heading to the Sun Bowl to take on UTEP. Liberty is 2.5-point favorites with a game total of 46.5 points, meaning the implied score is about 24-22 in favor of Liberty. This game also has quarterback question marks. Really, there's only one quarterback on the slate that has no question marks, and it's Nick Vadiato of Middle Tennessee. It's crazy. 3 out of 4 with question marks at the quarterback position. It's truly wild, y'all. Welcome to Wednesday Night College Football. So for Liberty, their starter is Ethan Vasco. He is, quote-unquote, hopeful to be available for this game. I haven't found a whole lot information that is going to indicate it either way, but that word hopeful indicates that they kind of think he's going to be active. Now, what's real interesting about the Liberty offense, though, is that Vasco is a true dual threat. He is a runner as well as a thrower. The backup, Michael Merdinger, is not a runner in any way. I don't know why college teams do this. Why are you going to have a backup where you can't run the same scheme that your starter runs? It makes zero sense to me. I don't know why teams do this, but if Vasco is out, it will definitely be more of a pocket passing, just plain vanilla run game with Merdinger at quarterback. With Vasco, you're going to get more RPO. You're going to get a lot of option. You're going to get some inventive, creative things out of the Jamie Chadwell offense, but you're not getting that with Merdinger. At the running back position, here's where this gets interesting. Liberty is a team where you would want to target running backs, right? They rank 13th in the nation in rush rate. And also, UTEP has a pretty good pass defense. UTEP ranks 9th in passing yards allowed, 95th in rushing yards allowed. So UTEP, a team that you can run on, team that teams haven't really been thrown on, right? So this is a team where you really would want to target a running back. But here's a problem. Their starting running back, Evan Dickens, is in concussion protocol. He left the Old Dominion game a week and a half ago and is just not really a whole lot of information available on him. He was apparently practicing with a non-contact jersey. I don't know what his status is going to be. He's probably the player on the slate that I know the least about truly in terms of whether he plays or not. If he does not play, Caden Williams becomes a smash. He carried the ball 19 times against Old Dominion. So it's very clear that if Dickens is out, Williams is going to be the guy. They also have Julian Gray, who's kind of this playmaker type of guy that they just look to get the ball in his hands. He's going to be kind of a middling factor in the offense, no matter who's active or inactive. I'm probably going to be taking some shots at him because he does have big play potential. Vaughn Blue is a guy that I thought in the season was going to be the Julian Gray type player, but he's been hurt. He's been banged up. I don't think he's going to be active for this game either. Now, at the wide receiver position, this is where I truly truly struggle is with these Liberty wide receivers. I think you could probably pass on them entirely and not miss a thing. Just being totally honest. So their leading target earner on the season is Jamari Person. He's $4,100. He has not had a game above 9 DraftKings points all season. Their second leading target earner is Reese Smith. He is $4,200. 16.6 is his high on the season. Pretty sure that's the high for all Liberty wide receivers, unless somebody that I was checking earlier, like just totally wasn't on there. Dante Lee Jr. is also on here. Nope. Well, 16.7 is his high. He's the third target guy. Now, granted, he only has 2 catches in the last 2 games combined. He's kind of been kind of eased out of the offense, but he does have a good single game total. Casey Kane is like in his 7th year of college football, formerly of Texas, formerly of UTEP, doing the same things that he did there, where he just pops up randomly and has 1 big catch or 2, but doesn't really do a whole lot after that. This is just a situation that's really tough to target. Elijah Canyon is a name that if you played the midweek slates last year, he was a guy on Liberty that had a few big games, but hasn't really put it together consistently this year, especially not recently. Yeah, this is a position I think you can just totally fade. Like the what you would hope for a Liberty receiver to play on this slate is you would hope for Merdinger to start at quarterback and then them to be down and just throwing, and maybe you get some volume out of Smith or Person or Lee. But I struggle to talk myself into that. Now let's talk UTEP. So this is another team that has some quarterback situations. We'll call it that. Malachi Nelson. If you remember that name, he was a 5-star recruit in the same class that had Arch Manning and Dante Moore and Nico Imaliava. And he went to USC, flamed out, went to Boise, didn't earn the start over Maddox Madsen, went to UTEP, has been up and down since he's been at UTEP. And in the Louisiana Tech game, he got benched after throwing 4 interceptions. Does that carry over into this game? And will Skylar Locklear start at quarterback for UTEP? Possibly. It's definitely a non-zero chance. I haven't found anything that indicates either way which one of these 2 guys is going to start. If we do, then I think that it squarely brings them into play. UTEP is a team that's going to pass all over the yard. They're ranked 9th in the nation in pass rate, right? The Liberty defense is pretty good against the pass. So they're ranked they're ranked 18th in passing yards allowed, 130th in rushing yards allowed. So Liberty can definitely be had via the run, but this UTEP team is going to look to pass. The question is will it be Locklear? Will it be Nelson? If you get information on which one it's going to be, they become playable. I am probably avoiding this unless I get like a clear-cut coach in press conference saying this guy is starting, because even if we get news at like 7:45, oh, this guy's out with the ones in warmups, that doesn't mean that he's not going to get benched mid-game or that they're going to rotate quarterbacks in the middle of the game. So I just think it's a really tough situation to target. I'm focusing most of my quarterback attention on the other 3. Like I said, again, unless we get definitive news that this guy's the starter no matter what. At the running back position, this is also dicey for UTEP. So you want to run on Liberty, and especially if you're having quarterback controversy, you probably want to run the ball more anyway. But it's been kind of ugly for UTEP at running back. Their starter, Cam Thomas, has been hurt. Hashawn Wilson, Charlotte transfer, shout out 49ers. He is okay. He hasn't really done a whole lot ever since the Tennessee Martin game. Wow, a lot of teams on this slate have played Tennessee Martin. And he's just okay. And then you've got Ashton Emery, who's actually carried the ball more times over the course of the season, but actually averages less yards per carry than Hashawn Wilson. Wilson's been more effective, but he hasn't been all that effective. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this situation. I think if I had to play one, I'd play Wilson, but they're far from my top 2 running backs on this slate. At the wide receiver position, this is where we're getting the good stuff now. Kenny Odom has missed 1 game for UTEP, so he's only played 4 games. He does lead the slate in terms of targets per game. 35 targets through 4 games. That's almost 9 a game. And the last 2 games have been quite bad against Texas and against Louisiana Tech. But again, Louisiana Tech, that was the game Malachi Nelson got benched. The Texas game was against Texas, which say what you want about my Longhorns, but they're one of the best defenses in all of college football. So I'm not going to hold that against Kenny Odom. I think he is clearly the top wide receiver play on the slate. And I do think you can play him unstacked because he holds such a target share in this offense that you don't need the quarterback to do a lot for him to get home. Now, after him, there's also 3 more interesting names I want to talk about. Eric Willis, ton of targets, not a whole lot of fancy production. Why? Low average depth of target, but also he has not scored a touchdown yet this season. He is second on this team in targets. He's $3,800. I think he's worth a go if you're playing enough lineups, honestly. But the guy I really want to play, this is just a straight misprice on DraftKings part, is Trevon Tate. Third on the team in targets. Consistent role in the offense. Has caught 6, and 3 passes in the last 3 games. He's only $3,000. Why? I don't know. I think it's a straight misprice. I think he's probably the best value play at the wide receiver position. I think you can play him and Kenny Odom together because, again, UTEP being 9th in pass rate, they're going to throw it all over the yard. And what you're going to end up with is a scenario where the two of them, through their combined volume, can end up getting home and hitting value, even if you don't want to play the quarterback position, which I don't. The other guy that I will mention is Torrek Goins Jr. He is 4th on the team in total targets. He did have the big game against Tennessee Martin. He's a really high ADOT guy when you look at it, but he's up there at $5,000. I would rather find the extra 60 or the extra 1,700 to play Odom, or I'd rather go all the way down to Trevon Tate. Now, if we do kind of like a real quick lineup build here, right? If I leave the quarterback position open and I go ahead and I snatch up Jakyle Middlebrook and I snatch up Caden Williams, I got average remaining is $6,600. I can go Kenny Odom right here. I can get my access to the Middle Tennessee receiver with Cox. I can go Dash Luke at 5,600. I've got an average of $7,000 remaining, and all I've got is my 2 quarterbacks and a flex. So that's probably like a really easy, really comfortable start. And I haven't even picked my quarterbacks yet. So what I'd probably do is after I pick the quarterbacks, I'd probably look to double him in that flex position and then go from there. Or if I'm willing to play Trevon Tate from UTEP in the flex, I don't have to worry about salary at all. What we would need to make this lineup work entirely is we would need the information that Evan Dickens is out. If Dickens is out, that is what makes Caden Williams a smash play. But other than that, I think the play of Middlebrook at running back, Odom, Cox, and Luke at wide receiver, that's a pretty comfortable start to the lineup, and you can really do a lot off of that, especially considering we haven't even picked the quarterback yet. But all right, that is going to do it here for this Tuesday or Wednesday night slate. Kind of talked both games, did a quick little lineup build. Is that going to end up being the core? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm still waiting to see on what happens with some of these injuries, what happens with ownership and whatnot. But if you want to know who makes my core, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/MikesMoneyPicks. Join the Fantasy Corner Discord and follow me on Twitter if you want to stay in the loop also. Like I said, that's going to do it here for this slate, y'all. Hopefully, we gave you guys all the information you need in order to build some winning DraftKings lineups here on this Wednesday night slate. And hopefully, you guys enjoy watching because we've got midweek college football, y'all. Like it's something to be excited about because, those sleepy Wednesday nights where it seems like nothing's on TV, even though actually a lot of the shows that I do watch are on Wednesday nights. You got something to watch. It's college football, right? And even if you think it's bad college football is better than no college football. Now, I will say one thing that I'm interested in, I've always been interested in this, is what these Wednesday and Tuesday games do to the players in terms of like their psychological or maybe not psychological, kinesiological, what it does to their body clock, right? Because I know when I was at Charlotte, we were in Conference USA at the time, but they didn't do this Tuesday, Wednesday schedule for Conference USA back then. But we played Eastern Michigan, and I remember talking to a guy that worked for Eastern Michigan. I worked in video at Charlotte. I was not a player, for the record. And I talked to a guy that did video at Eastern Michigan and what they did for the MAC when they had the Tuesday and Wednesday schedule. And he told me that, it just flips your entire week around because you're not going to class Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Because, Monday is your travel day, Tuesday, Wednesday, is your game day and your recovery day, right? And so a lot of the players just didn't attend class once action started. And then it really flips around because by the time you get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, those are your practice days. And it's a weekend day. And there's, you kind of do the practice thing in the morning because, college football and NFL are on, and the coaches are apparently wanting to practice in the morning because you don't have class to worry about. So just a real interesting schedule for the players. I've always wondered how it would work. I think it would be kind of cool to experience as a player or a member of staff. But remember, at the end of the day, these games are for TV dollars. It's a great TV contract, helps these leagues, stay afloat because they are getting these nationally televised games when nothing else is on. All right. Anyway, that does it. Sorry for waxing poetic there about midweek college football, but hopefully you guys got all the information you need in order to build some winning lineups here for this Wednesday night slate. Make sure you're subscribed so you can be back with us for the Saturday main slate as well as all the other slates we're going to get to this week. Thank you guys for watching and listening to this point. Best of luck to you, and I will see you guys next time.